Happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome to you. It is Friday, my favorite day. It's Discoveries of the Week Day. This is episode 795 of today's Antidote, and today we're going to talk about community support. We've had a week of wild discussions, and today we're going to make sense of it, distill it, and turn it into something that even a leprechaun would enjoy. So all that and more is coming up on today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Sorry, I got distracted. I'm back. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. Some days what I need to do technically works easily, and some days it doesn't, and today was a dozen.
Well, it's St. Patrick's Day, so maybe you need a little leprechaun out there helping you out with what you do.
There you go. Do you own anything green? Because I do not.
Yeah, I'm sure I do.
Okay. I know you're traveling, so you probably didn't plan in advance.
Yeah, I didn't have St. Patrick's Day on my radar when I was packing at all.
Will the referees be wearing green stripes today at your game? That would be cool.
No, although that would be interesting. We're not at that point yet, I don't think.
Okay. All right.
All right. So top of the morning to everyone, and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where each day we have a conversation around a topic. The topic that we have for the week, and this week we've been talking all about community support, as Bob mentioned in his opening. Today, we're going to share our discoveries of the week. And so as we go through that conversation, if you have thoughts or discoveries that you would like to share, please feel free to put them in the comments, because we know it'll add value to our show. And even if you think it's not a discovery that you feel like everyone would know what this is, there's a pretty good chance they don't. And they have never heard it from you and with your knowledge, experience, and perspective. So please feel free to share that value that you have. Before we dive into that topic, and before we dive into our discoveries,
can I just say something about that idea, Tom?
I'm sorry.
Can I just jump in? So I have a coach, and yesterday my coach literally said something back to me that I had said to a client a couple days earlier. Word for word, same situation. And here I am, the coach, coaching someone, and they understand it, and I'm doing all that. And then my coach says it back to me, and I'm like, I've heard this before. Where have I heard that? Wait, I said this. So even sometimes when we say things, we don't hear them back until someone shoots them back at us. So I think one of the great opportunities with the comments is to really share that thing that someone might not have heard with your words. You may use a different verb or a different adjective, or you may have a different context. That's part of what I think we afford each other. And frankly, that's part of the community support that we can give each other. By sharing openly about our experience, we can help others to understand, because it may be the right words they need to hear, the words that resonate with them on that day for whatever reason.
Well, and it might be the influence that the person who shares it has that's different than any other person who has shared it. And I think we'll talk about more of that next week when we talk about support from a mentor along your pathway.
I was teasing it. See, I know what I'm doing here.
Did you know you were doing that, or was that just
happened that way?
That was the luck of the Irish today.
That's good.
I'm glad that you were taking a sip when I did that, because I wanted that reaction.
I do have a greenish mug. I don't know if you can see it. There you go.
Yeah. Greenish mug on your green screen is not helpful.
My fake green screen.
Fake green screen.
If you saw behind me, you would see boxes.
Yes.
I'm getting ready to move. So
before we dive into our discoveries of the week, though, every morning we share our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
Well, first of all, Tom, there's a note from Michael that says live feed not working. and that's on Facebook. Do you know what that might be about?
I do not.
Okay. Seems to be working for me.
Same here. So
okay.
Sure.
Maybe he's got an internet issue. Thank you, Michael, for sharing that, though. Appreciate that. Not sure if you could tell us more. Be happy to see if we can investigate. I'm sorry. So I am sharing the fact that, as I told you before the program, I survived a gauntlet of getting a mortgage worked out so that I could buy a different place to live. So
New bunker.
You'll love this, Tom. When it won't be the bunker, it'll be the penthouse.
Nice. Moving up in the world.
There you go. Moving up. There should be a song about that.
TV show about that too, I think.
Yes. There you go. So I celebrate that. And there are a lot of people who are involved in that process. Mortgage broker, the realtor, some family members, some friends. It was a team effort. You know, it's a little more dicey when you own your own business to do these things than it is for the person who has a nice what's a W-2 that they can, or the pay stub. Yeah, they can show that pay stub every 2 weeks. Here's what I get. Yeah, good time.
It's just a pay stub. It's not nice. It's just a pay stub.
Well, there were days in the last couple of weeks where it seemed like it would have been nice.
Okay. Fair enough.
At one point when the person said, you know, if you had a pay stub, this would be so much easier.
Just saying, that's okay. Rather than a pay stub, I get to create my own business and my own schedule.
That's right. And I was thinking for the bank, you're probably in better shape with someone who's creating their own opportunity because they have more control. But I didn't say that out loud. So what are you celebrating today, Tom?
I have a big celebration this weekend. Do you know what it is?
Is it your anniversary?
No.
It's not your birthday.
No.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Sunday would be what? 3 years of this.
3 years of today's antidote on Sunday. I know. I was thinking about that.
I didn't even process. I've been so busy in.
I know that's not your thing. You're not. That's not your strong suit.
It is so not. I have to be very careful about it. I'm not I don't think like that. So 3 years. Wow.
And today was kind of the day 3 years ago that things started to shut down. And
it was also the day we talked through this.
Right. Correct.
I remember calling you and going, Tom, we got to do something. Yes. What if we did a podcast? And you were a little tepid. Your response was tepid to start.
It was? I don't remember that. Yeah,
you weren't all in right away. I had to do a little convincing, a little bit. But you were doing those Facebook Lives. Remember, you had done a challenge where you did 30 days or something with Facebook Live. So it was like, well, you're doing it already, Tom.
True.
Wow, I had totally forgotten about that. That's interesting.
That's okay. That's why I don't think either.
But I don't know about you, but I thought it would be maybe 3 weeks. I never thought it'd be 3 years.
I wasn't sure. You know, and well, just in the same light, no one had any idea how long the pandemic was. Or some people thought it would be 3 weeks. Some people who thought it was a joke, and some people thought that the world was going to end. So
right, and we've only missed what, 5 days, 5 weekdays,
something like that. If I'm not
mistaken. I think it's up to 5. We missed one this week. That was the 5th.
Okay, excellent. So that's my celebration.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't. That is a great one. I love it. It's been a fun ride.
It has certainly been that,
and it's helped me through so many experiences. I'll leave it at that. Over the last couple of years, the timing was really good. Not just with COVID, but a whole bunch of other stuff that's been waves through my life. Plus, you all don't know this, but I get to have free coaching and free therapy with Tom every day before and after the program. So poor Tom deserves hazard pay for putting up with 3 years of me and my, I can't say that word. There's a word that everyone says to describe things that go, hot mess is a good safe answer. There you go. I'm a hot mess. That's a good way to put it.
Fair enough.
I knew I could find a phrase. I had a 2-word phrase that you put together, but I couldn't think of a different word to go with show than the word that people usually use. So
fair enough.
There you have it.
All right.
So talk about community support. There it is. This whole community has been built around the idea of Tom and me supporting each other as COVID started, and that broadened and broadened and broadened. And we have over 1,200, almost 1,300 people that are in our community that are obtaining whatever support they choose to get, from everything from seeing something in their feed to the people who have taken the big step to being coached by us.
Correct.
Still amazing when I think about how much that was not what we thought about that first day.
Although it's always interesting to me, and I think about these things. What if we had never taken that first step?
Oh, I can't even imagine. I think I'd be in a different place. I would not be moving into the penthouse.
You never know.
I'd be in the doghouse.
All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about what are your thoughts or your discoveries of the week?
Well, the first thing that I kind of knew, but it really came to me this week, was that we need support. We cannot do this alone. And I know that on a macroscopic level, but I really struggle with that sometimes in my head. I feel like I need to solve things myself. And I was tracking this week how many times I reached out to people when I hit a situation where I couldn't resolve it myself. And it was 9. Those were the ones that I consciously I can't do this myself. So I'm moving in a week or so. I was reaching out. I talked to someone who has a pickup truck about helping me move. That I moved 10 months ago. I rented a truck myself, and I did 99% of it myself. And several people said to me after I moved, they're like, why didn't you call me? I would have helped you. I knew you were moving. I was expecting you to call me, and I didn't. I kind of took that to heart and said, okay, next time I need to enlist help. Other help was something related to the mortgage situation that I needed some help on. I just something I couldn't do by myself. And so I think what it taught me this week, honestly, is being conscious of that. I need to be conscious of that all the time. That shouldn't be a new behavior for this week. That should be a normal behavior that, hey, I don't have the answer to this. Let me ask someone else. And then I was also tracking how many times other people solicited help from me over the course of the week. And it was 21 times. Like concrete things where someone's like, hey, can I ask you a question? Hey, I'm trying to do this, and I know you've done this before. And it was interesting to me that number didn't even out.
Well, I wonder if that's just your perspective of what support means.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yes. And I think that's something
that's
shifting as I go.
And you asking for it or receiving it.
Right. Yeah.
Because as you were saying that, I was just thinking about my game alone last night. So I had 2 other partners.
You officiate women's and girls lacrosse. You're in Florida officiating some college games.
And 2 other partners. If I didn't have 2 other partners, that would have been a long night for me. So there's 2. We had people at the table who were managing, dealing with the clock, dealing with when we had cards. So there's another 2 people providing support so that we could do our job. We had at least 2 people in the press box who were running the clocks. Again, otherwise I'm doing it on my watch and trying to stop and start it while I'm also trying to officiate. They're the people who set up the field. There's the guy who was, not the school was nice enough to have, even though it wasn't a big deal, came over as like security to walk us to our cars. So you think about, if we really start to think about all the support we get that allows us to do what we do, I would imagine your number might be a little bit different.
Wow. That's probably true. It's probably well, it's interesting because I don't think I would have come to 9 and 21 this week if I hadn't been really conscious of it.
Sure.
As we went through it. So if you had asked me last week, I did most of the stuff myself. I might ask one or two questions, but I didn't get support. But I think, I get support. If I think about getting support, it's support comes right now because Michael's on with us and he says, Happy St. Patrick's Day. And believe it or not, that's support to me that, hey, this isn't just you and me talking to ourselves.
Correct.
So that a very innocuous thing in the scheme of things in the world. But to me, that's a lot of support. So thank you for that, Michael. Always enjoy having you here. And did you see he even found the clover?
I did see that.
I couldn't do that.
Wow. Sometimes we know you're a little technically challenged.
My emoji skills are just not there. If you get an emoji from me, I really like you because that's
Something
not the way I think.
Well, I think that's the thing, though, is when people ask us for help or support, it's fairly clear. I think it's a lot harder for us to see all the support that we have around us because we don't always ask for it. It just happens to be there. I didn't ask them to have 2 people up in the booth. I mean, somebody did. The NCAA says this is what you're supposed to have. The school says this is what we're going to provide. And still, I couldn't do my job the way I wanted to do it if it wasn't for them. I stopped after the game to get something to eat, and somebody there made it for me, which is support.
Someone delivered it to that location.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of things where we get support. I just don't think we see it in that light. We just see it as, okay, I'm getting something from someone. Oh yeah, that might be support. It meant I didn't have to make a meal for myself. Someone else would make it for me.
Right.
So I think that's the challenge, right? Is that we get a lot of support that we don't think about, which also means that there are lots of communities that we likely don't think about. And I think that's one of the discoveries for me this week was how many communities we have. And and I know you did a little exercise around all the circles that if you started drawing them and how they overlap is significant. And I think oftentimes we don't think of all those communities that are out there and how they can help us.
No, I think we just we feel that they're there. They just show up and until they're gone. I can remember several times where I left jobs and there was a gap because suddenly the lunch bunch wasn't together anymore. And I was at a different job and it was lunchtime. It's like I used to hang out with these guys and talk sports and goof off, and they weren't there anymore because I was at a different job and I really felt a loss. Like, boy, lunch isn't much fun. Now, what do I do with my lunch hour? And that was a community that just a couple of guys started having lunch together and started talking sports. And I didn't think of that as a community until I lost it. And I think that's often what happens is we don't think of a community until we lose it, or we assume it's going to be there. And sometimes that assumption can be faulty. I'm finding more and more that the communities I need to build my business, I have to go find. I have to look for those people. They don't come looking for me. Like I joined a speakers group. They didn't come looking for me. I had to find them. And now that I'm part of that group, I get all kinds of resources and information from those people in a way that I didn't even know I needed or could benefit from. But when I went out and looked, said, well, there's got to be a group. Suddenly, a whole world opens to me. People who are going through similar experiences. People who have done what I've done and they're in the next step or 2 steps ahead of me, and they can show me a pathway that worked for them.
Sure.
People who have already found the resources I need and could say, hey, I recommend this insurance policy. I recommend this person if you're trying to do photos. If you need videos done in a city, here's a company that can set that up for you. You can find all that on the internet, but It's a heck of a lot easier when someone says, call Joe at this company and he will take care of you.
Sure.
I see Michael's got another comment. When expressing your discoveries, you cannot only share what you've learned with others, but also continue to grow and learn about yourself through others. Ooh, I like that. I didn't even think about that.
Well, I think
as we
part of
share
the
within
idea.
our community, you're right. We get to articulate what we're doing, which is another chance to make sense of it in our own heads.
Sure. And then it's all around the sharing of your value, right? If you're in a community, you feel a little more comfortable with that group because you're having some shared experience. And so you're more likely to share and not feel as worried about how they're going to react. And so you share, they share, and now we all get to gain from the collective knowledge, experience, and perspective and see how it impacts us and then how we leverage that moving forward. And I think that's the challenge, right? Is that in some community, if you in a community where people don't feel comfortable, they don't share. And you might feel worried about sharing. And so you miss out on an opportunity to gain from all of the knowledge, experience, and perspective in that community.
Yeah, I think that idea of safety is really critical. I think of communities that I'm in, a community online of guitar players. And some of the things they ask are the very things I'm struggling with that any really good guitarist would be like, really? This is what you're struggling with? In that group, it's perfectly safe to have that discussion. And you're welcome, like, oh yeah, hey, we did a video on this. Click here to see the video someone did about this 2 weeks ago. So, and you look at how many people have looked at that video. It's like 700. So you're like, oh, okay, there's 699, 700 other people going through this problem along with me. I'm not an outcast. I shouldn't have expected myself to resolve all these things myself. And I think that's the ultimate lesson for me here this week is I'm better able to accomplish what I want to accomplish when I'm within communities that support me than I am just doing it myself. I can move next weekend all by myself. I'll be exhausted. It's a lot of work, or I can get 3 or 4 people with trucks to help me move. And it'll be probably a quarter of the time. I won't be exhausted. And I think the people helping me, you offered to help. I think if I allowed you to help, it would actually deepen our bond together in some way.
It could.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
So, yeah. So how about any closing thoughts for you? We've covered a lot of ground. This is a pretty big topic.
I think the other thing about community support is we always have to realize that there's all sorts of value around community support. Some that can impact us more than others if we're open to it and who shares it with us. I think that one of the challenges is understanding the value of everyone in that community support. So it's not just the leader that you can turn to gain knowledge, experience, or perspective. It could be anyone. And I think sometimes in some communities, there becomes a hierarchy and we start only looking towards certain people in the hierarchy for their knowledge, experience, and perspective, and maybe are missing out on opportunities from others, maybe lower in the hierarchy, that could add value. And yet we don't see that because they haven't maybe achieved something someone else has. And I think that's one of the things to think about in community support is, it's not necessarily a comparison. We're not comparing yourself against others in the community, because I think that can lead you down to judgment and frustration and overwhelm. That we're there to sort of take in all that they have to share and then see how we can leverage that to then move forward.
Well, within that community, we tend to be more open and honest, right? Because we feel safe.
Sometimes.
If it's a community built around a purpose, I'm sure if you have a community of lacrosse officials online or you hop on a call once a month, there's probably a more open discussion about being a lacrosse official than what you would share on this program. Because everyone's had people yell at them, they've questioned calls, they've been frustrated, they've tripped, they've done all the things that we outside of that world would see as flaws within that world. Like, hey, you know what? If you're going to officiate 8 games over 7 days, you might trip once or twice. It's just going to happen. And you might blow your whistle inadvertently. And you might, I remember one of the playoff football games with the NFL, one of the officials dropped his flag. And they said, oh, he just dropped it. It happens. Within the world of officiating, everyone can understand and appreciate that. Within the world of the public, how could he not have his flag in a way that wouldn't be dropped? Mm-hmm. And I see Edward's got a comment with us. Good morning, Edward. I found a long time ago when I went 10-pin bowling with a pro. Now, I didn't really 10-pin bowl. As I followed the competition, I gained focus and bowled a 285. He bowled a perfect game. Okay. So for those of you who are not from the Baltimore, Washington area, there are 2 types of bowling. There's 10-pin and duck pin. 10-pin is what we normally know, the big ball that you put your fingers in. Duck pin bowling is the little balls that you just wrap your fingers around. There are no holes. You've gone duck pin bowling, right, Tom?
I have. I find it harder than 10-pin bowling.
It is much harder. Indeed. Yes. Yeah. But 285, anytime you bowl is good.
Very good.
I've only done that on Wii bowling twice. I was a big Wii bowler.
I would have loved to see a video of your Wii bowling form.
In my house,
I can see
where my follow through, my hand would hit the ceiling.
I can see you over exaggerating or exaggerating everything about that. That would be great for TikTok.
I am sad that I got rid of my Wii. I really enjoyed my Wii. The Tiger Woods golf was great.
Fair enough. See the things you discover when you're in amongst a community.
That's it. If anyone's got a Wii they're not using, I'll be happy to provide my address. You can just mail it to me. I'll even pay postage for the Wii.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stepping up in your world of video games, huh? The gamers out there are like, a Wii? What the heck are you talking about?
Yes. And Edward adds, the point is to find a community above your status.
I think it can be helpful as long as you don't judge that or judge yourself within that community. I think that sometimes is the challenge. Because you can get in there and yes, like you said, Edward, I think you gain focus, you gain some insight, you do some other things. And yet, if you continue to struggle and feel like you're not making it to that level, there can be a lot of judgment involved. Why are they able to bowl? Why is that guy able to bowl a 300 and I can't? And maybe I should just give it up because if I can't get a 300, what's the point?
Right.
But I agree. I mean, I think that and I think that was maybe a little bit of my point is sometimes I think it's really valuable to be in a community where you're in various roles or at various stages. It's interesting. My wife, when we first started playing golf together, we were on a golf course and we played with another couple. And because Liz is an athlete and the other spouse, the other woman in the group was an athlete, they always played from the white tees with us. So if you're a golfer, there are 3 sets of tees, or if you're not a golfer, there are 3 sets of tees or 4. And usually it used to be the men's and women's tees, which actually what's nice they've done now is it's all based on your handicap, or they try to base it on your handicap. And the challenge was my wife and this other woman didn't hit it as far as the 2 of us. Right. And so it was harder for them to score. And so they sometimes would get frustrated. And so the pro at the club was a woman golfer. And she sort of talked to them and said, you really should go to these other tees because that's the way the game is played. So you can learn to not always have to be 200 yards away on your second shot.
Right.
So you're never going to be able to hit the green, or you're going to struggle to hit the green. That to get to the point where you're more skilled at the game, you want to be able to be 150 yards away or 120 yards away where you can actually hit a club that you have more control over and then can find ways to score. And so while they wanted to be part of the community of us at the white tees because they felt like that was something they had to do, taking advantage of moving forward and she hits the ball a long way. So in consideration with other people maybe playing from those tees, there's some value in being above the group, within a group of people that have less skill. And now you have a chance to share with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the opportunities we have, is finding lots of communities where we can play different roles and gain different insights within each of those communities.
I like that. Wow. We've had a good week. There's a lot going on. If you missed one of the episodes this week, you should go back. They're really interesting to see how community plays a role, and we so often overlook it.
And they might have missed one because we didn't do one.
That happens.
Yes, it does. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us this week and today. Edward and Michael, thanks for your thoughts. Very much appreciate them, and had some impact on us, and I'm sure with others.
Hey, Michael's got a great comment. I love this one. Hey, Tom, it's okay to undo the top button today. It's St. Patrick's Day. Smile, grin.
Fair enough, Michael.
And Edward offers, good day. I've never seen Tom wear a polo shirt with the button undone. Never.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things. So that's right. Those on the podcast who aren't clear on that, I typically button my polo shirts all the way up. Anyhow, so thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate your thoughts and ideas and all your discoveries that you share. If you are listening to the podcast and don't have a chance to share your thoughts and ideas, please join us in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where you can share your thoughts and ideas and add your value there. And I have a feeling that while you're adding your value, you're going to gain some information or insight that is going to have an impact on you, and it's going to help you figure out how to take your next step when you might be struggling along your own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to seeing you inside that group. We hope that you have a great weekend and a great St. Patrick's Day. And
a couple more comments. I got Michael saying, have a great day, guys. Thank you, Michael. And Edward comes in with, Tom needs a bow tie.
I'm not really. It's interesting. My son has become a bow tie wearer.
Okay.
Not really. I've worn them before. I'm not a huge fan. But I appreciate that, Edward. It would fit with what I have. I need one of those. Have you seen the ads for those shirts that are, they're like a polo shirt, or they're like a dress shirt collar?
But it's a polo shirt.
But it's a polo shirt.
Yes.
That might be beneficial for me. Anyhow, thanks so much for being with us today, everyone. Go out and enjoy your day.
Hey, and whatever you do, embrace the renegading you. Even if it's wearing green and seeing leprechauns later today, embrace the renegading you.
Yes. Although if you're seeing leprechauns, you might
probably
not
embraced other things more than your renegade.
You might want to have someone else drive you home. Don't be reckless.
That's it.
If you're seeing leprechauns and no one else is seeing them, that is not the time to now get in your car and drive home.
Good advice.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.